We're live.
Welcome everyone to the Coachella Town Hall meeting today. I'd like to thank everybody for participating on today's event. Thank you to all the guest speakers today. First, I'd like to introduce, thank and welcome Mayor Pro Tem Emmanuel Martinez, Mike Daniels, Regional Director of the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC, Natalie Orta from the SBA, and Mr. Bob Wright from the Associate Director of the Coachella Valley SBDC. We thank everyone once again for being part of this town hall. Today our goal is to provide you as much information and recent information on the small business assistance programs. And with that, I would like to introduce Mayor Pro Tem Emmanuel Martinez to lead us.
Thank you, Gabriel, for that introduction. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody at SBDC for all the work you are doing, our regional and local offices for getting this important information on COVID relief for businesses. Obviously, we're all impacted here. Here in the city of Coachella, we're closely monitoring our budgets, and for us, sales tax revenue, for instance, is what is a prime driver for how we provide essential services to our community: water, sewer, public safety, you have you. So business community is very important, and right now in time of crisis where we are searching for as many resources to help us at different aspects of our lives, it's important work that SBDC is doing to decipher all the various legislation and programs and monies coming down to see how the rubber meets the road and how these programs can assist you, the small businesses that are the driving engines of our local economy and are very important for our survival here in our communities. So I just want to thank everybody for logging in and tuning in and getting this important information out. I want to thank Gabriel Martin as well, Mike Daniel, Bob Wright, Natalie Orta for putting this together here at the City of Coachella. We are taking this very seriously, and it's very important that we support our business community and ensuring that we're providing them the resources and information necessary to help weather the storm and be in good standing, hopefully here in the near future, to get our economic engines back and going on a positive note. So with that, I'll turn it back over, and thank you everybody for logging in.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. And as we get started, we do have a Q&A box on the other side. So ask any questions that you feel appropriate for this conversation. We'll try to answer them as we're going through the presentation, but we will definitely get to them. So with that, I'd like to introduce our next partner, Natalie Orta from the SBA, to discuss a little about SBA programs, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program. So with that, Natalie.
Exactly. Thank you, Mike. And again, thank you to the City of Coachella, SBDC, for putting this call together. And what I'd like to do is very briefly go over the four main relief programs that the Small Business Administration has for small business owners. First of all, there's the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and that's only available on the SBA website. However, at this point in time, the portal is closed. It's only open to businesses that are ag businesses or businesses that applied in the first round of the EIDL funding and have an application number that starts with a number 2. Other than that, if you haven't applied yet, you have to wait. Questions come up all the time about where am I in the queue. There are quite a few applications currently in the queue, and I know they're working through them as quickly as they can. If your application number starts with the number 3, you are in the queue, and we ask you for patience. I will put the 800 number you can check on your loan on in the chat box in just a minute. But for that loan, actually, you're eligible for up to $10,000. Again, it's up to $10,000 is the forgivable part of the loan. And it boils down to $1,000 per employee. And then once you get that money in your account, you'll get an email from SBA. It will be from a .gov email letting you know to sign into our portal, where you could be eligible for a loan of up to $2 million at 3.75% interest for for-profit businesses, 2.75% for not-for-profits. That has an 11-month deferment on it, and that's a 30-year term. The Paycheck Protection Program, you apply for that with your lender. There are still available funds in the Paycheck Protection Program. We advise everyone to get to their lender, apply for this loan. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, please get in and apply. This loan, basically, the idea is to get your employees back on payroll with their pay and benefits. And it's really that it's not relevant if your business isn't open. A lot of people worry that I can't bring people back on because we're not open. The point of this loan is to make your employees whole again with their benefits and their pay. And the big caveat of this loan, you have to use at least 75% of it for payroll purposes. The other 25% you can use for non-payroll related business expenses, and that loan will be forgiven if you stick to that 75-25 ratio. No, you cannot pay back pay. If someone didn't show up, you need to document it. I can talk about that later. June 30th has come out as a big date. That June 30th date is the date the program will expire or until the funds are exhausted. When the PPP funds are put into your account, once they are dispersed, you have 10 days to get your employees back on payroll. Now, the Express Bridge loan, if you have a relationship with a lender who's currently an SBA Express lender, you can find that out on our website. If you go to the SBA website and find local information, go to our website, and we have a list of the lenders that are Express lenders. And if you have a relationship with an Express lender, you can get up to a $25,000 bridge loan. You can wrap up into your other SBA loans. Loan forgiveness is another big thing. SBA currently, any SBA loan recipient is going to get 6 months payments on their loans. That could be a 7A loan, a 504 loan, or a micro loan. The lenders should know about this, but that's a 6-month forgiveness for you. The SBA website at covid19relief.sba.gov has information on all of our programs. Again, our resource partners are there to assist you. If you need help in figuring out how to apply for the PPP, if you're trying to work out the forgiveness portion, how does that work? The Small Business Development Center is a very, very valuable partner of the SBA, one of our funded resource partners, and the assistance they provide is free. There are a lot of folks out in the community that'll tell you that they can help you out for a fee. It's not necessary to pay any fees to get assistance with these loans. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike Daniel. Mike.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Natalie. And we'll go through some of the programs that she was talking about, and you'll be able to see them up on these slides. So, and we'll have Bob talk about some of the programs, Bob Wright, from the county in just a minute. And so as we go through, a little bit about the SBDC program. The SBDC program is a federally funded program through the Small Business Administration. We cover Orange County and Inland Empire through our centers. We have 8 centers spread throughout the region. We have 100+ consultants that are here to help you one-on-one through your business, and really right now it's through your business of survival and recovery and what that's going to look like. And I'm going to talk a lot about recovery and what, and how to kind of think through a recovery plan for your specific business. So as we get into this, this is a little bit about myself. So I own a couple of Rocky Mountain chocolate factories and a candy store in Long Beach, and probably similar to you, closed my doors on March 12th. I opened one store up over the weekend, but 2 of my stores are still closed. I've had to lay off several of my employees and try to figure out all these loan programs that are available, county ordinances, city zoning regulations and what's going on, and just trying to figure out, can I open, can I not? How do I hire my employees back? So we're going to try to really address a lot of those questions today. So this is one of my candy stores, and really what it looked like prior to COVID-19 hitting. We were up about 50% year over year. We were having a really good year for January and February, and really getting ready to open a few additional stores as COVID-19 hit. And currently this is what one of my stores looks like. And it's a candy store where you really go in, you kind of fill it up yourself. And so as we're going through this and thinking about what a reopening model looks like, the hard part with a store like this is, what does a reopening model look like? I mean, how many people are going to want to still go in and grab scoopers and go into, candy canisters and grab where other people possibly have been? So we're really trying to figure out what this might look like as we change and pivot from what the original concept was. So probably like most of you, just trying to figure out what the next step is. And so what I'd like to talk about first is, three things that you should be doing in your business right now. And the first thing is your lease, right? And so have you tried to negotiate with your landlord? And if you have, was it successful? My guess is probably not the first month, maybe even the second month. If you're asking for an abatement, meaning that they're going to lower the amount that you owe on your lease, or asking for a deferment where you're pushing the funding back a month or 2 or 6 or 9 months to really be able to afford, to recover and at the moment just survive through this. We've had some success with some landlords in deferral, meaning that they'll take the next 90 days and push it back to the back end of the lease. And so for some that might work. If you weren't successful with your landlord the first couple of times that you've had these conversations, or if you just decided not to pay the rent, it's time to start having those conversations with your landlord. If you need help, that's why we exist. We'll help you figure out what the best step is for you, how to have those conversations, how to write a letter to your landlord, different options that might be available to you, but you have to have those conversations. My suggestion to you is to keep it positive, even though I get it can be very negative and it hurts, right? I mean, if they're not willing to do anything, there might not be anything to turn to, but the minute it becomes negative, they might cut you off and might not have that conversation anymore. And like most business owners, if you have a lease, you probably have personally guaranteed it. So you've tied everything to this. So making sure that you know what to do, and that's, we want to help you through that. The next thing is existing loans. So if you have an existing loan from any lender, you need to call your lender and ask them to defer those payments for, as long as possible. Most lenders are willing to do that for 90 days, just based on your call or an email. So have those conversations. And then the last thing is your insurance. I want you to look at your liability insurance and see if you have what's called business income or business interruption insurance. If you have that, you need to file a claim with your insurance company that you've been shut down, whether it be through a government shutdown, a virus. Those are really the two areas that would fit. Now, if you're like me, I was denied within an hour of filing a claim. I was denied with a form letter that said because my business wasn't damaged physically and that there was a pandemic, it superseded anything else that would have qualified. And so just so you're aware, all the congressional offices throughout the state of California have put a letter to the Insurance Commissioner of California to fight this. And so you're going to see lawsuits. You're going to see a lot of people, jumping on this across the country, really. And so they're going to file lawsuits. And so there might be something that happens in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. If you didn't file a claim, you won't receive anything. If you do file the claim, just so you're aware, it will not make your insurance go up. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes to file an online claim with your insurance company, but you want to make sure that you have business income interruption insurance before you do that. If you're not sure, call your insurance broker. If you can't get a hold of them, we can definitely help you figure out what you possibly have. But take a look at your policy. It should tell you very clearly whether you have that policy or not. And so what we're going to talk about today are different options for your business. And really, funding is the first thing. We all need capital to survive where we're at today. And so we're going to go through the EIDL loan and the PPP loan. Typically, when we talk in acronyms, nobody knows what I'm talking about, but I think everybody knows what the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Paycheck Protection Program are at this point. We're going to talk about other options for you. The state of California has a brand new loan program that they just launched. There's crowdfunding and equity sites and credit cards, which is a last priority at any given moment in time. But for now, maybe it is an option for some of you. There are a lot of credit cards that are 0% interest for 12 months. That might be the capital that you need to get you through this. So that is an option as well. So with that, I want to talk about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan first. And so that is a federally funded program through the SBA. Times of disaster is when it comes out, and the SBA becomes a direct lender. And so with that, most of you probably did apply for an Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Many of you probably haven't heard back yet. And just keep in mind that typical disaster covers, a city, a county, possibly a state through a tornado, a hurricane, a fire, a flood. This is the entire country all applying at the exact same time. You have 30 million plus businesses that all have potential to be applying for this. And, there's a massive amount of people that have applied. So if you applied already and you have either a 2 or a 3 on your application, really determines when you applied. Prior to March 30th, as Natalie said, would have been a 2. March 30th and beyond would have been a 3, and giving you the opportunity to apply for that advanced portion of it. You do have to be patient. There are roughly 2.7 million applications that still are working through the process. And from what I've heard, the SBA is processing between 1,000 and 1,200 applications every hour. And so that is a mind-boggling number in itself, but it's going to take a long time to get through 2.7 million applications. It's just, an overwhelming number, but they are working through it. We're starting to see a lot of our clients get funding anywhere from a couple couple $1,000 to several $100,000 through the economic injury disaster loan. It is a very good program. It is, just to give you some scenarios here, if you were to apply for, and really you don't apply for the number, you put in the application how much you did in sales, then you put in your cost of goods sold, and there's an algorithm that the SBA uses to get you to what you would qualify for, up to $2 million. And so if you're to qualify for $25,000 for 30 years at 3.75% interest, their payment would be roughly $116 a month. And then for $100,000 for 30 years at 3.75% interest, the payment is roughly $463 or $465 per month, spread over 30 years. The first 12 months are deferred, so you're not going to start paying for the first 12 months. And you can pay this back whenever you want. You need to treat this program as a long-term sustainability piece for your business, right? It's to get you through the survival mode and to get you up and recovered over a long period of time. That is the purpose of this program. And so if you haven't applied for it, currently it's only open to agricultural businesses, but the hope is that at some point in the future, it will be open again if you didn't get the opportunity to apply already. If you have applied and you need additional help, we do have a call every day at 3 o'clock with somebody from the SBA disaster team. And, roughly have between 500 and 1,000 businesses on that call every day, just kind of explaining the economic injury disaster loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, and breaking down the forgiveness part of the PPP part of this. But these are rough scenarios, of what you might qualify for. And like I said, you try to be patient. I know it's so hard to do that. If you did receive the advanced part, it means that they're still working through it. The advanced part would have been, if you had a 3 on your application number, would have been based on the number of employees, as Natalie mentioned earlier. Up to 10 employees and beyond would be $10,000. If you get 5 employees, you'd qualify for $5,000. Now, there has been some language back and forth that you need to roll that into the PPP if you get that as part of the forgiveness. But that language is still being written on the Paycheck Protection forgiveness portion of it, so we don't know for sure if that's what's going to happen. So with that, that's a little bit about the economic injury disaster loan. The Paycheck Protection Program is a 2-year 1% interest loan. Up to $10 million. And keep in mind, this is a loan, but it's a forgivable loan if you meet the criteria. And so the criteria is spending this money on your payroll, on your interest, and on any mortgage payment or rent that you might have, and any other debt that you incurred prior to February 15th. And so just making sure that you understand what it can be used for: rent, utilities, and most significantly, 75% of it has to be spent on payroll. And what's difficult, right, is that you have employees, maybe you've laid them off. Maybe you've reduced their hours. It's going to be hard for some of you to get to that 75%. This program within itself is an amazing program. It was created in 5 days. So keep in mind how quickly this was created, specifically for COVID-19. And so they got, almost $750 billion on the street in less than 40 days. That is a staggering number. But there are some hiccups in whether it's a good loan and a good option for everybody, right? California was hit so early with COVID-19 that a lot of the businesses have closed. So it might not be the perfect option for you. And so let me give you the calculator and how it works is you're going to take your 2019 payroll and you're going to take the whole amount for the entire year. You're going to divide by 12 so that you get a monthly average and multiply by 2.5. And that is the maximum that you qualify for. And so if you had a $1.2 million payroll, divide by 12 and multiply by 2.5. There are some other pieces to this that I don't, for this call, we don't need to go into detail on, but some other factors that weigh into this as far as the calculation. But roughly, this is what it is and what you qualify for. Now, with that, you have to spend 75% of this in an 8-week period on payroll. Now, for some restaurants, retailers, hospitality businesses, yoga studios, gyms that might have qualified for some of this money, you need to make sure that you understand that, 1, your employees might not want to come back, and 2, you might not be open to pay them, right? So there's a couple of different things that you really need to pencil out to make sure that this loan makes sense for your business. Now, there is a window up until March 14th. If you did receive this money and you don't want it, to give it back with no penalty. So for some, you might need to think through that. If you need help penciling that out to see what's the most beneficial thing for your business, I can help you do that. But there's a lot of misunderstanding, and the rules for total forgiveness are still being written. But take that number, let's just say it's $100,000 that you received, $75,000 of it has to go to payroll. If you don't, then the amount of forgiveness gets diminished, and we don't know how much. Is it 50%, 25%, 100%? That's still coming out and still being written as we speak. So that's a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program. The Small Business Debt Relief Program is something that Natalie just spoke about. So if you have a current 504 SBA loan, a current 7A SBA loan, or a current SBA micro loan, the SBA is going to pay your lender directly over the next 6 months dating back to March 27th. They're going to pay the loan off for you. So it is not it's not a deferment. This is truly the SBA stepping in for you and paying it off over the next 6 months. So really straightforward, not much for you to do, but if you do have one of these loans, I would suggest to call your lender just to make sure that they are aware and that they're paying it off, just to make sure that you're checking. But that one's very straightforward. And then the other loan program that I don't have a slide for, but it's just coming out through the state of California. It is a up to $50,000 loan for businesses that were denied EIDL funding or Paycheck Protection Program funding. It's up to $50,000 for businesses that are up to 750 employees. It's also open to nonprofits that are 501c3s and C19s. And it is prime plus one, meaning it's roughly 4.75%. It can be fixed for anywhere from 7 to 10 years. And so that is a brand new program just opening up. Currently, there are 3 lenders throughout the state that offer this program, but there will be more that come online. And this is what you heard the governor talk about with the $50 million that they put into this. And so hopefully they will put in more, because there are 4 million plus businesses in the state of California. So that money, there's not enough money to go around for businesses that maybe didn't get these other options. So with that, the next step is your employees, right? So how do you take care of your employees? What do they qualify for? And then as a business owner, maybe you don't know what you qualify for. So most people will fit under the unemployment insurance category that you see in the middle of this screen. And that is up to $450 a week for up to 26 weeks. And that's what most people get. There is a brand new program called the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. And that is for businesses, or that's for your employees that fit into unemployment insurance. It's also for independent contractors, sole proprietors. So if you're a business owner that you don't pay yourself as a W-2 employee and you take a disbursement, or just really, just pay yourself, off the top, you can also apply for the $600 a week and receive it for up to 16 weeks. So that is a brand new program, but you can see the dilemma here for employees that make, roughly, $500, $600, $700 a week in payment, maybe even less than that. They're receiving $600 from the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance plus whatever they qualify for unemployment insurance. So they might not want to come back because they might be making more on unemployment than they would coming back to you. And so there's some issues there, some unintended consequences of trying to take care of everybody throughout this pandemic. So it's a little bit about it. The EDD is a very difficult place to try to deal with right now. I know some of my employees that applied for unemployment insurance dated back to March 15 have not received any funding yet. So it is daunting. They are trying to go through millions of applications where they're not prepared for that, and they're trying to ramp up as well. So I would just say you just got to kind of stick with it. But I don't unfortunately have an answer for the EDD, but they are trying to work through it and understand. And just keep in mind, your employees that did file back as far as February 2nd will still receive that money. It just, if they haven't received it yet, it's just the EDD is trying to work through the millions of applications that are currently in that system. So similar problems that they're having with getting things out. Now what I want to talk about and really move it to reopening your business. What is that going to look like? It's different for everybody. It's different for the business next door to you. It's different for the dental office down the street. It's different for the office space. It's different for the restaurant, the retail. Everybody is slightly different. And so you really kind of need to think through, how are you going to reopen? When do you reopen? And what is that going to look like? So let me start with the governor's 4-point plan to reopen the state of California. So the first thing is you need to figure out where you fit in this, right? Are you stage 1 and you're an essential business and you're already open, maybe operating off of a skeleton crew or a skeleton model? Are you stage 2, which is lower risk, where maybe you opened on Friday and your retail, manufacturing, offices, or do you fit in stage 3, which is personal care, hair and nail salons, movie theaters, and different things like that. So and then there's also a lot of gray area here, right, where they're not telling you what you might be, right? So maybe you're plumbing, or you're an HVAC, or you're a home housekeeper. Where do you fit in this? And trying to figure out what stage you could start going back to business, operating your business. And so trying to figure that out. And so I think the state understands. I've been on a lot of calls with them as they're trying to really put every industry and then break it down even further so that everybody understands when they can go back to work and where. But with that, what we want to help you do is create a recovery plan, right? So what is your business going to look like? If you're a brick and mortar and you're bringing customers in, like you see on the left-hand side of my screen, this is great for a market that has 50,000 square feet. But if you have a 500 to 1,000 square feet, how do you do that in your business? How do you set up 6 feet of social distancing between each customer or client? That's going to be really tough. So you really have to kind of think through, are you going to make people wait outside? in the summertime when it's hot, and, what is that going to look like? For restaurants or for, open areas where every other seat is blocked off. This is what the effect of what COVID-19 is going to have on businesses. This is a restaurant, and you look on the left-hand side, that's a full operating restaurant. But as we move into this kind of post-COVID-19, this is what it's going to need to look like as we move back into our businesses and reopen. That is telling, right? I mean, if you have half the customers that you're allowed to serve, how do you make enough money to pay the rent, to pay the payroll, to pay the mortgage, to pay all these things, and then at the same time pay yourself. So really things that you need to think through as you go through this. So as you're thinking about opening, what does having the right PPE look like? That's a phrase that we've never heard before, at least for myself. But, so as you look on the left-hand side, you have a plexiglass barrier from the customer to the employee. Are you prepared to do that in your business? Where would that go? How would you even get somebody to come in and put that in? Those are things that you need to think through. And then, a hair salon on the right-hand side, making sure that you have a mask on or possibly gloves, which you don't see, and what does that look like? And how do you sanitize that seat after that customer leaves to make sure that the next one feels safe, right? And safety is going to be a big thing, making sure our customers feel safe and our employees feel safe in our business. So next thing, this is an interesting stat. So JP Morgan Chase did a sample size of 600,000 businesses across the United States and their average cash flow in their business, right? So if you look at the average small business has 27 days of cash flow, and then you start going up that scale and looking at, the majority of businesses, restaurants, repair, retail, construction, less than 20 days of cash flow. We're now almost 60 days into this COVID shutdown. Where do you fit? I mean, and I think that's really what we want our politicians to understand, our cities, our counties, to understand that cash went out the window, 15, 20 days into this. We're trying to survive now. And so businesses need help any way that we can possibly imagine. And so, whether it's a moratorium on your lease, whether it's, helping you with employees, whether it's helping you with inventory or PPE, there's so many ways and so many needs for every small business that, we really need to kind of think through what this is going to look like. The first thing that I want to help you with, and that's why you're going to hear from Bob in a minute about the SBDC, is really understanding and putting together, a cash flow analysis of your business as you reopen. The hope is, and we all probably have this hope that we're going to reopen our business and it's going to go back to 100%. Well, we all know that that's not going to happen. So what is it going to look like if your business is at 25% of what it was last year or 50%? So what I want you to do is put, pen to paper and really kind of sketch out if I have to pay for rent, utilities, inventory, insurance. What does all that look like? And what do I have to do just as a fixed expense just to break even? With a 25% expectation of sales or a 50%. And I can tell you, when I opened up one of my businesses over the weekend, I did about 50% of what I would typically do on a Mother's Day weekend, which, great, having, reopening and really not a lot of people knowing that we're reopened, but I can't survive off of 50% long-term, so that's got to change pretty quickly, or I'm not sure how I'm going to continue to keep my businesses open. So I want you to think through those exact same things and help you. So I have a lot of different templates, a lot of different ways to kind of help you think through what that scenario would look like. The next thing is your people. So how are we going to make sure that your people are taken care of and that you've done everything you need to do as an employer? And so the first thing is, making sure that as you retrain them, because that's really what it is retraining them to come in. The first thing that you need to do as an employer is that you need to check and make sure that they're not sick as they come back in, meaning you're checking for all the signs of what the coronavirus would look like and that they are self-certifying that they don't feel sick, they don't have a fever, they don't have any of the symptoms that go along with COVID-19. You need to do that every time they come back into your place of business. Otherwise, you're susceptible to a lawsuit as well. So making sure that you follow these protocols every single time for every shift if you have multiple shifts. So you really have to kind of think through what this is going to look like, and then training them for the next stage, right? That maybe they don't work so close together. Maybe there's no interaction in the break room if you have a lunchroom. You just kind of got to think through all the different scenarios of what your business looks like. As we look at marketing, are you able to market to your current customers? Do you have a list? Do you have an email strategy? Do you have a social media strategy? If I typed your business name into Google, would I find you? Do you have updated hours so that I know that you're reopen or that you're getting ready to open? Those are things that we really want you to think through so that people have a way to communicate with you and vice versa, that you really have a way to communicate with your businesses. If you're a restaurant and you're offering, maybe you had a Mother's Day, brunch that people could purchase from you to take home. How would they even know that, right? What kind of communication strategy do you have? If you don't have one, we want to help you build one. I always bring up the same scenario. I have a dry cleaner. They send me something every other day of how to take care of my clothes while they're closed. But knowing that at some point they're going to reopen, but they're just staying top of mind and in front of me throughout this, and I want to support them when they reopen, and just waiting for them to do that. Because if you see my ironing skills, they're lacking, and that's why we're better off on the Zoom call. But social media strategy, online strategy, right? You don't have to necessarily sell online, but you have at least an online presence so people know how to get to you. And so those are things that we want to help you, as you reopen your business. And so we have classes that we're doing online every single week. We're getting ready to launch one on Thursday. Every week, it's an hour just teaching you new technology skills. We have restaurants that we're trying to help. And that's really a big thing, right? So think about restaurants. When you go back in, and I know that they're kicking around the thought, and the governor's supposed to come out with his new dine-in strategy to reopen restaurants later today to talk about when that's going to happen. But are people going to want to touch a menu in your place of business, or is the expectation going to be that it's changed? And so you have a couple different ways to do that. We have a couple webinars on some new technologies where you can actually upload your menu directly onto phones. And so you can have it sitting there, and patrons can come in, download it, and they can order off of their phone, and they can pay on their phone, right? So they're paying directly. There's no touch, so no human touch back and forth, and it's all taken care of electronically. And so you can update it that way. Silverware, right? And so silverware and glassware might be non-existent over the next few months to forever. So can you get plasticware? Does it need to be greenware? How are you going to get all that to make sure that you're giving your customers what they expect? Silverware will not be put on tables when people walk in anymore. It's going to be brought to you, as your meal is served, and most likely it's going to be on plastic or paper, and kind of thinking through different strategies that way. And then the other thing is sales, right? So what do sales look like? Do you have new sales streams that you haven't thought of, or are you just expecting people to come back and it's business as usual? Which I don't know that that's going to happen. But first things first is making sure that your current suppliers still are able to supply you. What happens if they've gone out of business? For example, for me, I order from a large chocolate factory that's producing chocolate for all of our stores across the country. Well, they're closed right now, right? So I don't even have the ability to order that chocolate. So I have to really rely on what I can make in my place of business or from other suppliers. And that's my options currently. So you need to understand what those are. So make those phone calls and understand, where that is, and then where else you can sell, right? Can you sell online? Can you do private showings? Some of the things we have here, right, is, people aren't going to want to go back to big box stores. So maybe they're going to want to come to you. And so I have a couple of examples of, what it might look like, right? So here there's pictures as people are looking at an online FaceTime shopping, just kind of looking on their phones. And then on the right-hand side is a brick and mortar that has a number that says, you can order online and I'll come bring it out to you, right? True curbside delivery. And so making sure that we understand what's available and how to think differently as our customers are already thinking differently. And so then as really kind of in summary of all of this, I just want you to kind of think through, what does recovery mean in the short term? What is it going to mean in the interim, kind of midterm, over the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? And then what's going to look like long-term for your business as customer norms change, as your employees, taking care of them changes, and all of these different things. There's so much to think through that, we want to help you. And the great part is, we've been funded by the SBA. The state of California has given us money. The county of Riverside puts money into this program. We are here to support you. We don't charge anything for what we do, and we have experts to help you through this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Wright from the, and also the Associate Director of the SBDC in Riverside, to go through some options and some things that are happening at the county.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, and everybody, welcome. I just wanted to go over, Mike touched on all the SBA programs, and the way you access those is through our local SBDC, and our team of local consultants here at the Coachella Valley Small Business Development Center provide business consulting and training programs to area businesses, no cost, no catch. We're here ready to assist you starting your business, obtaining funding, accounting, attracting and retaining customers, and more. Of course, right now what we're doing is spending a lot of time booking small businesses up with these programs Mike discussed. We have 5 local consultants here in the desert. We're located in Indio, and 2 of our consultants are bilingual. So we can certainly help you with anything that you may need help with your small business. Write down this phone number. Our number here locally is 800-616-7232, or you can visit us at Coachella Valley SBDC.org. I wanted now to talk to you about a couple of programs that Riverside County has rolled out a couple of programs last week. The supervisor and the Board of Supervisors approved this last week. The first program is a microloan program. This is called the Riverside County COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Program. And this program is only eligible in the desert cities of Coachella, Desert Hot Springs, Indian Wells, and La Quinta, because it is a CDBG-based program. So only, though, if you live in those cities, Coachella, Desert Hot Springs, Indian Wells, and La Quinta, it's the only cities that are eligible for this small program. Now, this microloan program is loans up to $15,000. They target businesses with fewer than 5 employees. The interest rate is 0. The term is for 1 year, and there's no payments for the first 3 months. The loan is forgivable, but you must remain in business for the 3 months and retain your employees, and your payroll records will be required with the application. There are no fees for this microloan. And you can access these loans and apply for these loans at, write this address down. It's rivcobizhelp.org. That's RIVCOBIZHELP.org. Now, the second loan, the second program is called the Restart Loan Program, and this program is from $15,000 to $30,000. The interest rate is 3.75%. The term is 5 years or 60 months, and there's no payment due for the first 6 months. The fees are wrapped up into the loan. Now, this is available to anyone in Riverside County. Here again, you want to apply at rivcobizhelp.org, and you will need to have you go online to the website, and you'll see all of these programs. Plus, Gabriel has all of these. He can send these out to you. The City of Coachella has all these programs. They're actually pretty simple programs, so we look forward to you applying for these. Now, the third program I want to discuss in degree is the state of California has come out with what they call the Great Plates Delivered program. And this is administered here locally by the Riverside County Office of Aging. And we'll put that there. The website is up there right now. So the state website and the local website are there. This program is designed to support adults 65 and older and adults 60 to 64 who are at high risk from COVID-19 in staying home and staying healthy by delivering 3 nutritious meals a day, and also providing essential economic stimulus to local businesses and workers struggling to stay afloat during the COVID crisis. You really go to these websites, and you'll be able to get the further details and apply for these programs. So other than that, we have some new programs that are going to be rolling out soon in the near future for Riverside County, and we will keep you abreast of all of these. But in the meantime, Gabriel at the City of Coachella has all this information, and Selena has all this information, so they will get that out to you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, Bob. I'd like to turn it back over to Gabriel Martin, the Economic Development Manager for the City of Coachella, to talk about some of the programming that's going on within the city. Gabriel, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Mike. I just wanted to thank everybody, and just give you a few updates on the City of Coachella in regards to opening up your small business. Next slide, please. This is a message from our Coachella Valley, Coachella Valley Water Authority and Sanitary District. Don't forget to do a few items before opening up your business. This will help you reduce growth of it's called Legionella and mold in your water system. So please make sure to do the following to flush out your systems that have been inactive for a while. We know a lot of businesses have been dormant, so make sure to run sink water, flush toilets for at least 5 minutes prior to being used to flush out all the existing water that was there not being used. Next slide, please. These are the kind of the precautions that these are all from the CDC website. So please, you'll see the link, and please visit that website. It kind of will tell you what to do in regards to taking the necessary steps to flushing out your systems. Please, it says flush out your systems, clean all the decorative water features, ensure that your water heaters are at a proper temperature. You know, they might have been, blown out or not, turned off. Make sure your water towers are being cleaned down, working properly. Inspect your fire sprinkler systems, eye washes, safety showers. Verify if all the hot tubs are clean and functioning properly. Make sure your building water systems are being maintained, and if you need to develop a comprehensive water management plan, please do so. Next slide, please. This is, like I said, everything was from the CDC guide website. This is kind of the link where you can access it and gives you more detailed information on how to reopen your business from the shutdown. And this right here is just pretty much what everyone's been providing you guys with a resource guide for all the state programs, the SBDC programs, the SBA programs, the county programs, and the City of Coachella updates all their information on their website. So here's our website for COVID-19. Next slide. Here's our contact information for the city. If you need to reach out to us, once again, I'm Gabriel Martin, Economic Development Manager, and you have our Code Enforcement Manager, Business Manager, and our Utilities Manager that will provide you any detailed information on those specific fields. And I think that concludes my presentation. I would like to thank Mike, Joaquin, Natalie, Bob, Mayor Pro Tem Emmanuel Martinez for participating in our conference, our webinar today. Hopefully you found the information very useful. We really value and cherish our partnerships with the SBDC, the county, and the SBA for all their hard work and their efforts that they're doing to keep small businesses afloat. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the City of Coachella for allowing us to partner with you. We will be sending this out to everybody that signed up for the webinar. So this will go out directly to you, the recording of this shortly. And so with that, and not seeing any questions, thank you all for joining us. If you need any help, again, it was 1-800-616-7232 to get to the SBDC. And then you still have the City of Coachella numbers directly on here. If you need any help from the SBA, you have Natalie Orta, who covers all of the Coachella Valley. And so thank you, and everybody have a wonderful day.